Vampires have been around for longer than you know, coming in many different shapes and sizes. But what movie created the teenager vampire trend? The Lost Boys came out in 1987. It has two brothers moved to the town of Santa Carla only to be sucked into a group of biker vampires who have a devious plan for them. The Lost Boys is an incredible movie mixing comedy and horror very well, with likable characters and an engaging story. What could be wrong with such a fun vampire flick? Let's find out. This is The Lost Boys. Our movie starts off on the boardwalk of Santa Carla, where a group of bikers, whose leader is named David, played by Billy Wirth, who end up getting into a fight with another group of people. Then a cop, who's definitely not going to die, stops the fight, telling them they were already told not to come back here. Then the cop gets attacked, totally didn't see that coming, and taken away by the Lost Boys. Okay, either that cop is really strong or that door is really weak. This scene was a really good way of introducing our main villains into the story. Even though kind of cheesy to have an expendable character die at the beginning of the movie, this helps hype up the vampires for when you do see them later on in the film. We then meet Lucy, played by Dianne Wiest, the mother of Michael, played by Jason Patric, and Sam, played by Haim. They're heading to Santa Carla after their mom got a divorce with their dad, and now they must move in with their grandpa. From this first scene, you see these characters, you feel like they are family. They interact like family, which is due to good writing and good characters.
It smells like someone died.
Oh, honey, look, guys, I know the last year hasn't been easy, but I think you're really going to like living in Santa Carla.
Man, someone must have been really passionate about calling this place the murder capital of the world. The movie then gives us a scene that shows off the town of Santa Carla to make our cast moving here feel isolated and alone, because everything is different than where they lived, while also showing how sketchy the town is and just how many people have gone missing with all the missing posters. This is a very good way of building up conflict and character while also showing off the town to get a sense of this place actually being real.
Is there any jobs around here?
Nothing legal.
That's the best way of showing a sketchy town I've ever seen. What the heck is that? After looking around town, the Emersons head to their grandpa's house and see that grandpa is dead on the floor.
He's dead. Could we go back to Phoenix?
At least show a little concern.
Playing dead. And from what I heard, doing a damn good job of it, too.
Wait, how long was he waiting there? After they get over how bad it is that they have to live here, the grandpa tells them the rules of the household, which has absolutely nothing to do with the main plot at all. It's just a scene to show the brothers bonding so it looks more believable when they have to help each other later on in the movie. But that could have been done in much more interesting ways than telling us the rules of the household.
Wait a second, let me get this straight. Are you telling me that we moved to the murder capital of the world? Are you serious, Grandpa?
Well, now let me put it this way. If all the corpses buried around here was to stand up all at once, we'd have one hell of a population problem.
Of course you would. There's been dead bodies over thousands of years. Grandpa during this scene talks about TV guides, but do you see how in this scene Michael and Sam mess with each other? This just makes their performance more believable, that they are brothers, and further makes me see that they have a bond between each other. It is now night, and Michael and Sam are at the Boardwalk concert, where nobody is social distancing. Get 6 feet apart, people. Oh man, 2020's been too much on me. At this concert, we meet Star, played by Jami Gertz, and Laddie, played by Michael Corbett, who you can barely see half of the movie. I'm not even kidding. I didn't even know this kid existed until the scene where Michael tried to save him near the end of the movie. Michael sees Star and already begins to fall for her, not knowing of the trouble she's going to get him in. Lucy then sees a help wanted sign, so she goes to check it out, but sees a lost child and decides to tell the manager about him. The manager, otherwise known as Max, played by Ed Herman, seems to think that the kindness of Lucy is just what he's looking for in a woman, so she can keep his vampire children, even though they're 20, in check. Also, did I forget to mention he's the head of the vampires? I like the foreshadowing they use here. With David looking at Max, then Lucy, it really makes the later scene where Max is David's father more convincing. Lucy then takes a job at Max's video store, which leads to their relationship later on in the movie. Michael chases after Star while Sam ditches him to look in the comic book store. Sam, while in the comic book store, finds Edgar Frog, played by Corey Feldman, and Alan Frog, played by Jamison Newlander. Now I do have some stuff to say about the Frog brothers. Corey Feldman plays his role perfectly as a frog brother, but Jamison Newlander looks dead inside for almost the entire movie. Maybe that's just his character, but why not show any emotion until the end? The end of the movie shows some of the best scenes for the Frog Brothers. They both have plenty of emotion, say an equal amount of funny lines, and one of them doesn't look dead inside. So anyway, the Frog Brothers decide to tell Sam about the vampires of the city because he reads comic books, which is a weird reason to give him that information now that I think about it. And they give him a comic book about vampires, saying it will be the survival guide for Santa Carla.
Hey! Come back here! Hey, let's go!
What do a bunch of thugs want with comic books? Michael chasing and stalking this cute girl and her child he saw for 30 seconds, it's really kind of creepy if you think about it, sees them get on bikes with a group of bikers. After this, the group of thugs are reading the comics they stole, get attacked by the Lost Boys, which you know they probably deserve for doing such a stupid crime. After this, we get another pointless grandpa scene, just used to set up an ominous line. He says, "That's as close to town as I like to get," which isn't even that scary. It's just a weird thing to say, especially after you just told Sam you were going to town. After this, Sam goes to town on his own without his grandpa and heads to the comic book store, where he meets up with the Frog Brothers again, just so they can warn him about vampires. Seriously, do they only warn him, or do they warn every customer about vampires?
We're fighters for truth, justice, and the American way.
Okay, Mini Rambo, slow down there. The Frog Brothers then give Sam another comic saying it will help him, but do their parents know they're giving away free comics to people? Michael then buys a cool leather jacket, 'cause, you know, he's cool. That has nothing to do with the story, but I thought I'd mention it anyway. Michael then thinks about getting an ear piercing, but Stark comes and tells him it's a ripoff, which I guess counts as flirting. Michael, who has never flirted with a girl, decides to make fun of her name and her parents by calling them ex-hippies. Just as Michael is about to swipe Star off her feed, the Lost Boys come and ruin their fun. Then David decides they are going to bike to see who is the coolest in the land. You know, 'cause they're cool. This is definitely where you start to see the symbolism. Michael meets a girl, gets in with the wrong group, and starts breaking the rules, like in the stairs scene when he thinks about not going down the stairs, but then he does. You can see peer pressure as David tells Michael to go faster. Even when this almost kills him, he gets a little mad, but then he continues following them anyway. This can also be seen when David says,
How far are you willing to go, Michael?
the Santa Carla Underground Hotel is a really creepy and atmospheric lair for the Lost Boys, which is perfect since they're vampires. After this, we get a pointless filler conversation about closet monsters.
One of the reasons I divorced your father was because he never believed in the closet monster.
They had to have edited that laugh in there to sound like the mom. Once again, we get another pointless filler scene about a stuffed beaver just to extend the runtime. But they could be using this time for more extending of the characters or more vampire world building. But no, we have to talk about stuffed beavers.
Your history, buddy.
A whole town of vampires and the one who's gonna help stop is afraid of stuffed beavers? Wonderful. I'll write my will now.
Feeding time!
I love how that's exactly what a vampire would say. After making Michael eat the maggot and worm special at the Chinese place, they decide he is ready to drink the magic Pepsi. Yes, that is what I'm calling it, because that's the first thing I thought of when they brought it out. Anyway, they bring the magic Pepsi out so they can turn Michael into one of them, so he can be as epic cool as them as a vampire. Man, that must be some strong Pepsi. All joking aside though, this blood they are giving him represents drugs and alcohol, because once you drink it, you have to keep consuming it. You have to keep drinking blood, otherwise you get weak and die. And this also helps my peer pressure theory, because they continually chant his name as to make him feel like he has to drink it. Then after he drinks it, he goes into a psychedelic-like experience that drugs and alcohol would put you through.
Don't.
blood.
Yeah, sure.
He never questions how he saw the maggots and worms. That could be blood. After Michael drinks his Pepsi down, he needs to go for a walk to walk all that Pepsi off, and David thinks the bridge would be a perfect place for a group suicide. Oh, never mind, it wasn't a group suicide, and they're just hanging from the train tracks. Can I just say, David has a perfect villainous laugh. It's just so evil and cool at the same time. Michael decides to climb down, only for a train to pass by as they all fall down one by one, until Michael finally falls, only to wake him in his bed thinking it was just a dream. This is symbolic of Michael falling down a dark hole of drugs, alcohol, and bad influences. After falling forever, Michael wakes up with his mom on the phone telling him he has to watch Sam because she has a date with Max.
You know, it's been a long time since somebody asked me to go to dinner. I'd like to go.
You just had a divorce, so no wonder. Another pointless grandpa scene where he uses Windex as aftersave and going to give some stuffed dog to a person. Sam and Michael argue about sandwiches when the house gets surrounded by lights, most likely motorcycle lights, but Michael opens the door to see nothing. But why did the Lost Boys go there? Just to freak him out or something? Oh, I shouldn't have ate from the second shelf. While Sam is taking a bath, Michael gets a craving for Little Brother. I mean, don't we all? I love how this scene shows Michael trying to control this new force inside of him. I kind of wish they explored that more. Here's Mikey. Oh, crap! The dog bites Michael, protecting Sam.
What'd you do to my dog, you asshole?
Show a little concern for your brother's bleeding hand. Sam sees Michael losing his reflection and comes to the conclusion he's a vampire.
You're a vampire, Michael. My own brother, a goddamn shit-sucking vampire. Oh, you wait till Mom finds out, buddy.
And that is exactly what my brothers would say. After Sam finds out Michael's a vampire, Michael decides it's nap time. Sam calls the Frog Brothers and tells them about his brother, but the only solution they have is murder. But Sam refuses. I wonder how many brothers would go with the steak option, though. This is one of the really funny scenes in the movie, because Michael's flying out of the window and trying to tell his mom everything is okay, and this is the kind of stuff I want in this movie, more of him learning his vampire abilities in funny ways. Sam then tries to use his magic fingers to stay safe from Michael. Luckily, before he flies away like Mary Poppins, he's able to convince Sam to let him in and not tell Mom about it. Their mom comes in freaking out, but Sam convinces her everything is okay.
You know, I've just about had it with the both of you.
Wait. What did Michael do other than be a blood-sucking vampire? After Sam gets yelled at, Michael heads off to find out why he was flying like Mary Poppins. After this, there's a forgettable scene that is just used to foreshadow Max being a vampire. Pepsi is flat! Michael then asks her what is happening to him, and instead of her telling him, they make out. But this love comes out of nowhere since this is their third conversation. This is just a pointless scene to show that Michael and Star have a love connection. Wait, are they doing this in front of the kid? Michael, I feel like there are more important things going on right now, and you shouldn't be making out with the girl you had 3 conversations with. After Michael wakes up, he goes home like he was never a vampire because reasons. After all this, Lucy heads to Max's to apologize to him for the night before, but gets attacked by Max's dog, which makes Sam suspect him of being a vampire because of a hellhound who protects the vampires during daytime. A really cool concept. I just wish they explored this more, because imagine the final fight if, like, Max had to fight a giant demon dog. Wouldn't that be, like, awesome? Then Sam tells the Frog Brothers, and they say there's a way out for Michael. All you have to do is kill the head honcho of the vampire group, and all half vampires, or vampires that haven't killed yet, will be free. But they don't know who that is. But Michael should know it's David, since it's the most obvious thing in the universe. Even if it's not that vampire, but that's besides the point. But he never tells them, and that really bugs me.
Yeah, well, what happens if my mom is dating the head vampire?
We get a fun-loving Disney comedy. Max comes to dinner for the second time, and right as Michael leaves to do something, Max says something that makes it so obvious that he's a vampire. Even with the red herrings this film gives us, I knew he was a vampire.
Hey, how you doing? You must be Michael, right?
And you must be Max.
Right. How are you? Well, you're the man of the house, and I'm not coming in until you invite me.
You're invited.
Thanks very much.
I mean, they just make that scene so out of place that even if you didn't know about the invite a vampire into your house rule, you still will remember this scene. Sam brings the Frog Brothers to dinner, which leads to a really funny scene of them trying to prove Max is a vampire but failing. This is also one of those red herrings I was talking about. After this, Michael meets up with David for the first time in 40 minutes. David takes Michael to somewhere to tell him that they are vampires, even though Sam has been telling him that for 40 minutes. I gotta say, the vampire designs look incredible. The build-up and execution of these vampires is just perfect. After this, the Lost Boys eat a group of people nearby while Michael tries to resist his urges to kill, which is a cool thing to see. I just want to see more of that. A pointless scene with the stuffed owl goes on again until Sam sees Michael.
It's okay. I know who I am now, Sam.
Oh really? Sam has only been telling you that for the past 40 minutes. Sam asks Michael who the head vampire is, but he never answers. Star comes to visit Michael, yet he doesn't like her anymore for some reason, even though she's the only one who's helped him. Kinda.
Because you care so much about me.
Yes, I do.
What is this, your 5th conversation? Star never gives a reason for wanting to be a vampire, or a reason for now not wanting to be a vampire. Why is that? I mean, seriously, it's just annoying. After this conversation, the next day, Sam calls the Frog Brothers and Michael and them meet up outside the underground hotel after stealing their grandpa's car.
Here's one for the shaker, man. Don't you touch her! You stay away from her!
I have to say that I love how the Frog Brothers want to kill every vampire, good or bad.
I'm taking you out of here.
No, take Laddie first, please.
If you have never seen this movie before, this is the first time you see this kid. I like that Michael and the half-vampires get weak in the sun and don't burn. A nice little bit of world building. I wish they would explore this further, though. The Frog Brothers and Sam just head off to fight the vampires without waiting for Michael or asking him who the head vampire is.
There's a smell.
Vampires, my friend.
Did I mention I love the Frog Brothers? Then the Frog Brothers and Sam decide to kill every vampire in the cave, thinking killing one would not wake the rest up.
Good night, bloodsucker.
No!
They were wrong. The scene where the Lost Boys chase the Frog Brothers and Sam is funny and scary at the same time. Just the right amount of each. It's great.
Burn rubber!
People are strange when you're a stranger. Faces look ugly.
Michael, you know the rule about filling up the car with gas when you take it without asking?
No, Grandpa.
Now you do.
Okay, I'll give the grandpa that one. That was pretty funny. After this, Sam and the Frog Brothers head out to get supplies to defeat the vampires. But before that, we have to get a pointless mom scene about how Sam isn't comfortable with a new dad, even though he's been fine without one the whole movie.
Guys, we're on our own.
Good. It's just the way we like.
Did I mention I love the Frog Brothers? There's a funny scene where they collect holy water from a church. No reason to mention it. It's just funny. They lie to Grandpa to get him out of the house, but why did they tell the mom, yet lie to the Grandpa? It just makes no sense. The vampires wake up and head to Max's house. Oh man, what's gonna happen? Oh, it's another pointless scene about Sam hates Max. Yay! The vampires are coming, but Sam forgot to get his dog, and this movie better not let that dog die. And for the first time in horror movie history, the dog doesn't die. The vampires are in the building.
I say we terminate them right now.
Jeez, what did they do to you? Sorry, the water's a little hot. One of my favorite scenes in the movie where all the things are exploding and the Frog Brothers are just sitting there terrified. After this, Sam wakes up only to find a vampire attacking, who he shoots, misses, and then the vampire gives him a clear shot to kill him. Why did you do that? Well, that's shocking.
Death by stereo.
Mine was better. Sam and Michael try to head upstairs, but David stops Michael in his tracks.
We trashed the one that looks like Twisted Sister.
Totally annihilated his night-stalking ass.
That is literally his best line in the movie. Jeez Louise, that's the scariest vampire yet. I wish they explored the kid having vampiric powers further, because a kid would not have the same amount of control as an adult would, but they really just did this scene so you knew he was a vampire. Yet they never showed Star as a vampire.
Holy shit! It's the attack of Eddie Munster!
Get him!
Please stop! Get away from him! You just stay away from him! He's just a little boy.
First of all, nice monster joke. Second of all, why do you want to kill these innocent vampires so bad? What did they do to you? I gotta say, this final fight scene between David and Michael is one of the best scenes in the movie, but I think I would have enjoyed it more if the creators had put a little more time into making Michael understand these new abilities. Don't get me wrong, it's an incredible fight scene. I just would have found it more believable if you had done that.
My blood is in your veins.
Soul is mine!
I bet that one went right through you. After killing David, we find out nothing has changed between Michael and Star, even though we don't see she's a vampire since she never has shown her vampire form or vampire traits other than sleeping. And yes, now it's time for the big twist. Max is a vampire. What? Yes, I know I already knew this, but it was a pretty cool twist even though I already knew. They planned it out well, and anyone who doesn't have much knowledge of vampires would be really surprised. They try to fight off Max, but he was too strong for any of them to handle, and after Sam decides to give him a bargaining chip, Lucy has to give him what he wants. I like how Max has to bite Lucy instead of drink the blood so they aren't related, because that would be an awkward situation. Did anybody order steaks for dinner? After defeating Max, Grandpa goes to the fridge to get a drink and delivers one of the best lines in the movie.
One thing about living in Santa Carla I never could stomach. All the damn vampires.
That was The Lost Boys. While not a perfect movie with many filler scenes and some character plot holes, it still has lovable characters and a good message towards drugs and alcohol, and it will go down in history as the best vampire movie ever made. Until the sequels ruin the entire franchise.